Hello, 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 Baltimore. This is your host, Dr. Marsha Koger. This is the Granted in Style radio show. First of all, I want to thank my 3,500 listeners who have been tuning in each week. So thanks for your support. Thanks for all the phone calls as well. This has been really fun. So as the country prepares to go on a lockdown, I'm available to you remotely. As a matter of fact, I have two coaching clients that I'm going to talk to this week about starting a 501c3 as well as a trademark. So call me, give me a call at 443-281-3856, 443-281-3856. I have a special guest for you today, real special thing for you today. But before I go on to, I want to thank our sponsor for today's show. Actually, my sponsor for today's show, I've been sponsored by my family. So my sponsor today is Jules. Actually, and I know you can't see it, but right now I do have on a Jules necklace that's beautiful silver. But the sponsor is Jules, and they sell affordable jewelry at affordable prices and just real beautiful. So if you want some information about Jules, contact Leslie Green. LESLIEGREEN at Jules is JEWELZ.net. Her phone number is 443-615-3949 or 410-321-0534. Again, that's Jules. So thank you, Jules, for that sponsorship. So I know we all are all stuck in the house. And a lot of us are thinking about, okay, what are we going to do with this time? What are we going to do? We're all stuck in the house. So this time, too, is a time for us to be creative. Let's be creative and let's think about maybe doing some art projects, doing writing. So now I want to introduce to you our guest for today. Like I said, we have a special guest on today. I'm really excited about it. My special guest. And this guest is my son, Lawrence Koger. So today we're going to do the yay, woo, woo, woo sound effects. so our special guest today is Lawrence Koger. So we're going to talk about writing today. I'm a writer. He's a writer as well. He's the author of two books. One book that you can get a hard copy is called I'm Not Here to Convince Anybody of Anything. And then he also has an ebook. It's called How to Find Peace When Nobody Around You Has It. So we're going to really talk in particular about this ebook because right now this is a time where people are looking to find peace. So we need to find peace when nobody around us has it. So welcome, Lawrence.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Marsha Koger.
You're welcome. Welcome. I just want to add to, it's been an interesting time for a lot of us because a lot of us were home in the house with our families. This is my older son. He also is a special education teacher at Dundalk Middle School, an expert on mental health issues, expert on nutrition. So I do plan to have him on again to talk about nutrition and again how to survive nutritionally during these tough times. So I'm really excited to have him on. So we're going to talk about writing. We're going to talk about writing, the writing process. This is a time we all, again, stuck in the house. So one of the things that we might consider doing or think about doing is writing. Maybe you can journal. Maybe you can start that book that you've been talking about writing. So I really want to talk about writing. So Lawrence, how did you start writing?
So I pretty much started writing at a fairly young age. I was about 5 or 6. We used to have a lot of conversations. I knew you to be a writer. You were a journalist. So, I kind of would observe you and your writing, your writing style, and just kind of how you would document and observe everything and jot everything down. So I started really young, and then I kind of began writing music. So about 9 is when I kind of wrote my first poem. And I remember a poem, Once Upon a Time, my mother had a dime. She didn't know what to do with it, so she kicked it in the pond. That was my, one of the first things I wrote. And, that was just something, just to really just kind of lighten my mind and just to see that I can really kind of do this, and to just really try to have some type of self-expression. So I started writing pretty young, and, over time, you just grow with it. But I would say I really started at 5 or 6, but then when I really started taking it serious was about 9 years old.
Okay, good. So, and I know I was thinking about just me and my writing journey, and I just know growing up for me, one of the things that I used writing for was to communicate. Growing up, it was me, my sister, my mother primarily. And, you know, it's hard when you have relationships with your children, with your parents. And my mom would do some things. I had a wonderful childhood, wonderful mother who I love dearly, who passed away about 12 years ago. But sometimes we would go through things and I never knew how to communicate with her. I never knew how to say those things that I really wanted to say. So I used to write poems. I used to write her poems. I used to write her short stories. And so for me, I started writing because that was a way that I communicated. So writing can be that's therapy. That can be a way that you can vent. So can you talk about too a little bit of your evolution of writing? Just, I know you've evolved as a writer. You have evolved from, his first book was about, I guess it's been about it was a book of poetry about three years ago now. His sort of process because part of being an artist too, that one of the things, you might feel a certain way at a certain point in your life, and then you evolve, and then you might feel a different way. So that's part of being an artist. So can you talk about your evolution as a writer?
Absolutely. So I definitely did poetry. I wrote music. I was a songwriter. I rapped like everybody else. So pretty much, I definitely, was just really just trying to find my style and critique my style. So I started as, a writer, just writing raps, just writing poems. But like what you said, as far as like self-expression, we would write, letters back and forth. And I really think it definitely helped me with, critically thinking, that I was really able to kind of process information and really just jot it down and really understand kind of the point I'm trying to get across, rather than just, having an argument going back and forth and things that being said.
Right.
So I was able to really process that information. So I definitely started off writing poetry, just self-expression, just really to express myself. And then that's when I went to school for communications in 2012 for, that's when I kind of stumbled upon journalism. So then I was, able to go out through the community, research articles, really understand, the structure of how to write an article, how to get, the information up front, just the body of the body of the articles and the paragraphs and things like that. So I started as poetry, went to journalism, and then, was when I began writing ebooks as soon as I graduated. So then I went to, writing nonfiction. So I definitely would say I learned how to express myself through the poetry. I was given structure through the journalism, which allowed me to really write ebooks and nonfiction and stuff like that.
That's good. And Lawrence is bringing up some good points too. And this is one of the things that we talk about. We have a whole lot of discussions about a lot of things, but we talk about just a different kind of writing. That if you do have a strong writing background, if you can express yourself, then you can write differently. Poetry is a different style of writing than journalism. I was a journalist for about 7 years, actually worked at different newspapers up and down the East Coast. Had a chance to interview some famous people. I've interviewed Bernie Sanders, who's our presidential candidate. I've interviewed Andrew Young. I interviewed Michael Reagan. But that's a different type of writing style. Lawrence mentioned that he's written songs. So that's a different kind of writing style. And then writing nonfiction and fiction and writing an ebook. That's a different kind of writing style. But it's important to be able to communicate and express yourself however you need to express yourself. So can you talk about just that whole process of you writing your first book?
Of course. So, well, one thing I do want to say about writing, like, although there's structure in a sentence, and, you have to have the body of the sentence, you have to have, your nouns, verbs, your adjectives. I do want to say, when you're writing, though, there's, like, no right or wrong if you're just trying to express yourself. I think people kind of, they're so worried about structure, they're so worried about getting certain things across that they're even afraid to write, because it's like, it's not going to be right when I write, when it's right when you write, you know, stuff like that. So I just think like self-expression is really big. So for me, I really just had to find out about how I'm going to express myself.
Right.
So when I began writing my first book of poetry, it was more or less just a compilation of poems I had previously written and just putting them together in order to, really tell a story of everything that I went through. And then as far as my ebook, it was just a lot of research I had previously did about, just how to feed my subconscious, your conscious mind, how to eat, how to live, how to think. A lot of people think that in order to really live a successful life, you have to do all these different things. You have to pay all these people. You have to know all this information when you really don't. You just kind of have to know yourself. You have to know yourself, you have to know your need, and you got to know really how to express yourself. So just kind of the process of writing that ebook was just me sitting down, trying to figure out who I am and what do I need. And once I kind of like, found that information out, I was able to really just write that down on paper due to, having a journalistic background and stuff like that. So I just really had to find that need that was kind of in me in order for me to translate it, through paper.
That's excellent. And one of the things I know I always say is if he felt like he had that need, then there are hundreds of other people who have that need as well. So he made another good point, what I thought is important, that just to write, that a lot of times people feel like they can't write. And I teach a class at the University of Baltimore, and a lot of things that I'll say, if you can talk and communicate, you can write. That, and I do an exercise, it's called stream of consciousness, where you come in and I have people, what did you do the last 24 hours? Just write it down. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about commas. Don't worry about spelling. But just be able to really express yourself. So, again, during this time, you can journal. You can maybe start trying to write that book that you've been talking about writing. So, that's good. He made some good points, too, about knowing thyself. And if I must say so myself, those 2 books are really good. Just well done. And also, I remember him going through the process of writing these 2 books. He was very driven. He worked on it for a good couple of weeks straight. Just, writing from the morning to the afternoon, writing from morning to afternoon until it was finished and completed. So I want to again thank our sponsors, Jules, and we also have another sponsor who's been sponsoring us from the beginning is Bronze Sites. That's www.bronzesites.com. So I wanted to again thank our sponsors, and again, if you need help, we're talking about writing and the writing process. So if you need help with writing, we can help you. I can help you. I helped him do his book. I helped him with the layout of his book. I'm working with several authors now I'm working with them on laying out their books. Give me a call at 443-281-3856, and we can work with you. We can help you. I can help you through this process. I can help you format the book. I also, too, in my process of working with him and some other potential authors or possible authors, I'm very well versed, too, on all the different options for publishing now. There are so many different options to publish it now. It's not just the publishing company. Now you can go through Amazon. There are all kinds of publishing houses. There's BookBaby. There is Amazon. You can go through Amazon. That's a whole print on demand. So that's a whole different process. There's so many options. So I'm familiar with all those options, and I can help you with that. So also, talk about your process, just your whole process of how you write.
So my process is very spontaneous, I would say. A lot of people kind of, they have times throughout the day where they write. Me, I just let life to really inspire me. I'm very observant. I go through, every single day, every single hour, every single minute, just kind of focusing on what's around me, being in the present, being in the present moment. So I'm very spontaneous when I write. So I could be out getting something to eat. I could be, at Walmart watching a YouTube video, and it clicks just like that. So I write a lot, like, mobily. So I'm on my phone a lot, in my notepad. I use technology a lot, just to kind of really jot down a lot of different thoughts that I would have. And then I kind of take time throughout my day, towards the end of the day in the afternoon, to really kind of reflect on those thoughts and try to build, whether that be a piece, whether that be an article, whether that be new information for a book. But I'm very spontaneous in how I write, so I definitely write on my phone a lot. I will say I'm starting to really get into journaling. I think just the ability to process information, and just to have that structured time is very good for people who kind of feel as if they don't have time to write. Right. But for myself, I will say I write a lot on my phone. Okay, good. And there are all kinds of apps. There's a journaling app, and there are other tools that you can use where you can write electronically. So thanks for that. I know me, I'm old-fashioned. I like writing on paper and pen. First of all, I spend time looking for the right pen that has the right, I only like uniball pens. So I'll go to Staples and look for a pen. And then I'm obsessed with journals. I know you can't see it here, but right now I have these different journals. I have a camouflage journal that I write in. So I take time to spend and find these journals that I like and just how they look, actually. So it's important for me to have the right tools, and I write on hand. I know that you all know I'm a doctor, and I had about a 300-page dissertation to write, 400-page dissertation, and it took me 7 years to go through that journey. But
just my dissertation was written longhand before I typed it on the computer. For me, there's something about that process of taking a pen and putting it on a piece of paper. I feel like for me, it gets lost when I try to do it on the computer. So it's important to find what your process is. How do you feel like you can have free thought and not feel like you're being held back creatively? So let's see, the other thing, so you wrote 2 different books. Again, we can help you. I'm here to help you, to consult with you. Again, our number is 443-281-3856. In the process of writing too during this time, it's not just writing, but also reading. And both of us, me and Lawrence, we both read a lot of books. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what have you been reading? Because a lot of times the reading helps with the reading helps with the writing. I'm working on my 6th book now. We say that we don't have a contest, but we do have a contest going on because Lawrence is working on his 12th book since January. So
reading wise,
reading wise. It's funny because I wrote on Facebook. I put that I was just finishing my 5th book, and someone called me, congratulated me, and said, "Oh, you finished publishing your 5th book?" I said, "No, I'm finished writing and reading my 5th book." So I'm working on 2 books myself right now that I'm really excited about, and my hope is to have these 2 books finished by the end of our lockdown. Let's just say, by the end of us being stuck in the house. So,
but with that, I do want to say though, I think it's really good when you do write just to kind of enjoy the process. Like, for you to be like working on your book and really just like going through the day in and day out, I just think that journey is just extremely important. People do want to write, they want to rush through things, they want to just get all this information out at one time. But when it's over and it's done, you might have just went through the journey like really quick and really didn't get to enjoy it. So I do think that like when you do write, just really enjoy the journey, really enjoy the process, really like absorb the information and study the information that you really want to put out to the people, because this is kind of like your word, your legacy, what you're leaving behind. So you want to make sure that everything that needs to be said is being said during the time that you're really writing. So just really enjoy that journey that when you do write.
That's good. And when I think about, for me, writing has been very emotional and personal. I remember growing up, I grew up in Baltimore on Gwynns Falls Parkway. So I used to, when it would pour down raining outside, I would wrap up in a blanket and go outside on our front porch, and it would pour down rain, and I would write. So writing is analogous to me, or synonymous to me with raining. Actually, I have like such an emotional connection to just writing. It just warms me. It reminds me of being a child. So that process is really important. So again, me and Lawrence, we both are available to you during this time. Is 443-281-3856. So what book are you reading now? What you read right now?
So right now I just read a book. So with me being a SEL teacher, I really just kind of like focus on
social emotional learning teacher.
Social emotional learning teacher, of course. So I really just try to learn a lot about communication. I think that the ability to talk is your biggest asset when you're a teacher. So I'm reading right now. It's called Engaging Students with Poverty in Mind. So pretty much, that's just a book about communication, like how you can really engage students who are kind of, that are really just they have trouble, trauma exposed, they're very impulsive, they have ADHD. You really want to know how to engage them. So I'm just reading about really just how to effectively communicate with them, how to give them little tips and tricks to really just kind of go through the education and really want to get them engaging in order to learn, in order, just have a really valuable education. So it's called Engaging Students with Poverty in Mind.
Okay, good. That's good. I know I just read, and we're gonna keep talking about writing here and continue this discussion, but I just read the book Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. And that was a recommendation that Lawrence gave me to read, and that book was phenomenal. I learned a whole lot about myself. And also in the process of reading all these books, at least for me, the type of books that I've been reading, they make me want to write. because what I'm finding out, the 5 books that I just read, and even the books I read about 10 last year, the books that I read last year, they make me feel like telling my story. Even though, I read Becoming by Michelle Obama, and the thing that was really key to me about her book was that she was telling her story, that we all have a journey and we all have a story, we all have a path, we all have something that we've been through, that we've gone through, how we grew up. Nobody's way is right or wrong, but it's your story. So it's important for all of us that we tell our own story. We don't want anybody else to tell our story. We tell our own stories. So that's really important. So again, I want to tell you, Lawrence's book, make sure you grab a copy, is How to Find Peace When Nobody Around You Has It. I remember too, when we were going through the process of me laying it out for him and doing the cover, that I kept saying how to find peace with no one. And he kept saying, no, I don't want it to be no one. I want it to be nobody. So he knew how he wanted his book. And it was really important that we made sure that I complied and made sure I did it the way that he wanted to. So again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is your story. This is your journey. Wanted to talk a little, anything else you wanted to say or add? And I was going to talk a little bit too more about the whole publishing process. But, so actually real quick too, I wanted to add for Lawrence's book, you can get it on Amazon, the ebook. You can find it on Amazon. Again, it's How to Find Peace When Nobody Around You Has. And like I said too, it's a powerful piece. It is a journey that he went on to. I was here for that journey. Like I said too before, I worked from home, and that was too in the process when he was kind of figuring out what he wanted to do with his career before he landed a job as a teacher. So it was a process that he really went through to get to how to find peace when nobody around you has it. So everybody pick it up. It's very inexpensive. You can get it on Amazon.com. You can type in his name, Lawrence, Lawrence, last name Koger, Koger, or you can type in the name of the book, How to Find Peace When Nobody Around You Has It. So I wanted to talk about too I'll talk a little bit too about the whole publishing process. Again, this is something that Lawrence and I, we can work with you on. Whenever you have anything creative that you're working on, if it's an album, a song, if it's one poem, if it's a book of poems, the first part of the process is important to have it copyrighted. So you can do 2 things with the copyright. You can copyright electronically online. Make sure you go to the United States Copyright Department. You can go online to their website. Don't go to anybody else's website. A lot of times with these things, even with the trademark, even with the copyright, there are a lot of companies that can do, even with the nonprofit 501c3 paperwork, there are a lot of companies that do this kind of work for you, but they charge astronomical fees. There are all types of websites that come up, but they're not the official websites. So for copyright, make sure you go to United States government copyright. The average cost is $55. It takes about 30 minutes or so, 30 to 45 minutes to fill out your application. That's something, again, we can work with you and help you with. But it's important I would do 2 things for the copyright. I would do your official copyright online, but also I would do, it's called a poor man's copyright. I would do the poor man's copyright, where you take a copy of the book or the poem and then you mail it back to yourself. And when you mail it back to yourself, you make sure too you do not open it. So that assures that that's yours and that was your creative work. So you don't want anybody to take it. It's really important to do this whole copyright process. I know right now a lot of times everybody's online and putting information online. People putting poems online, putting their books online, putting stories online. If you put that online, it's basically in free space. So people can take that. People can take your saying. So with a lot of our creative work, it's important that it's copyrighted or trademark. Again, with the trademark can be a slogan or a logo, and you want to make sure it's protected. So again, you can call me and I can help you with that copyright process. Along with it, so from copyright, anything you wanted to say or add to that, Lawrence?
To the copyright? Not really.
No, okay.
I feel like you covered everything.
Okay, so the other part is, after your copyright, from there you write down the other important part of when you doing a book. The important part too is not just the writing of the book, but it's how you decide to graphically visualize the book, if you want to do photographs, I'm in touch with and know a whole host of photographers. So if you want to do photographs, if you would like to do graphic design, I have a master's degree from University of Baltimore in publication design, so I can do the graphic design for you. I'm well versed in a lot of the Adobe products and the software that you would use. There's a variety of software that you use to lay out a book. I am in touch with several publishers. There's one publisher here in Baltimore called Black Classic Press, owned by Paul Coates. So you can, if you want to go the publishing route, you can do that as well. Also with illustration, right now, Lawrence, he just did a doodle on his paper and he was drawing. Lawrence can draw. I do have a relationship with several artists. As a matter of fact, right now I am working with a well-known entertainer. We're working on a book together with artists. So I can help you develop your concept. I can write the concept for you. I can just help you refine what it is that you're trying to write and work on. Again, the number is 443-281-3856. So you want to get it copyrighted. You want to make sure you have it written down. From there, we can work on how you visually want it to look. Again, the visualization is really important. You want to have a good title. And I like Lawrence's title of his latest book, How to Find Peace When Nobody Around You Has It. That's a good title. If you saw a book like that in the store, that would make you want to pick it up. So it's really important that you have good titles. I was just looking at some of the things that I've written. I have some short stories that I've done. I have one that's called Shotgun Therapy. So that's an interesting little story too about how I was involved in actually a robbery and an accident that almost destroyed my life. So, but a title like that, Shotgun Therapy, makes you want to pick it up. So you want to spend time thinking about the title of the book. You want to spend time on how it looks visually. And then from there, just the packaging. Do you want a hardcover? Do you want glossy pages? Do you want it to be color? Do you want...
and that goes with the process.
Right. So this is all the process. So I'm just giving you some tips and some information about how to do the whole publishing process. Mm-hmm. So again, if you are interested in me and Lawrence, we can work with you. I can work with you through this process. And this is a good time. We can work remotely. I've set it up now where I can take over your computer and we can do some things back and forth. Again, my number is 443-281-3856. Again, I'm always available too for fundraising. This is Granted in Style. I'm a grant writer, a fundraiser. If you want your 501c3 done now, I'm available to help you do that. Again, give me a call. If you want a trademark done, if you now want to do your copyright, if you want to work on your book, this is just a time now. We need to be creative. This is a time for us to be creative. If you maybe have some ideas for songs, I do actually also know how to do an album. Lawrence talked about writing songs when he was 9 years old, and he does have an album that I helped to produce, and we made sure it was on every single platform. It's on YouTube. I'm really well versed too in the whole branding. He had a whole branding of what he was trying to do he was 9 years old as a young gospel artist. So you're never too young either to do what it is that you want to do. Lawrence, I want to ask you, what's your inspiration? What has been your inspiration?
My inspiration pretty much just has been, just life, just the ups and downs of life. Just really, like I said, just being observant, just really being strong in my faith, and really just wanting to understand. I'm very curious about a lot of things. So I think, with being curious causes me to want to research, causes me to want to figure out. So I just think, with any type of therapeutic expression, you have to be curious about yourself. You have to be curious about what goes on. So, I'm just inspired just through the day-to-day of life, just waking up, being blessed, walking outside, going to work, going to the store. Like, everything piques some type of curiosity in myself that inspires me to create. So.
Well, that's great.
Well, Dr. Koger, could you tell everyone how they can reach you again?
Okay, sure. You can reach me or Lawrence or both of us at 443-281-3856. Also, I do have an Instagram. It is Granted in Style Doc. Granted in Style Doc. I have a Twitter, which is Granted in Style, and I do have a YouTube channel now, which is Granted in Style Show. So again, you can call me, reach me by phone 443-281-3856 or email grantedinstyle, GRANTEDIN style STYLE.com.
Dr. Koger, is there one thing that you can't do?
There are some things. I do try to stay in my lane. I'm staying in my lane, and just real quick, I got to do my amen, agree with God, move with God, in with God, and never doubt God, because basically with God, all things are possible.
Thank you, Dr. Koger. We appreciate that. That was Granted in Style, your radio show. Everyone have a good day. Thank you, Dr. Koger.
Thank you, Tony. Take care.